What did the Jews believe that God was up to in that period of time?
Well, firstly, it's very difficult to say what the Jews thought. In that, there was a whole number of different streams of thought going on. I mean, typically we think, oh, well, they were all looking for a Messiah. Well, some of them probably had given up hope that there was a Messiah. Some of them did. Many of them thought that established Jewish religion was corrupt. So you've got people like the Essenes, who are not mentioned in the New Testament, but we know about them because of one of the things Josephus, the Jewish historian, wrote about them. But also we found the Dead Sea Scrolls in the late 1940s, and that's their library. So those folk were just withdrawing because they were the true Israel and the folk in Jerusalem and the temple were not. You got people like the Zealots who believed God was going to bring his kingdom, but he was going to bring it through their violent actions against Rome, and they would have taken the Maccabees as their like heroes and their model. And then you got the Pharisees, who were like the purists. If we just keep the law and our understanding of the law, then God will deliver his people. And then there's just a whole load of common folk who were a bit probably devout at one level, but simple. Their folk theology would not have been as developed as these other groups. And they found a way to exist under those groups. So what the Jews think is a bit difficult to say. What different groups were thinking. Many of them had a sense that, well, they all had a sense that they were God's elect. The Jews were special and had a mission, that God hadn't given up with them, and that he would do something in the end to redeem and fulfill his promises. That's probably what they all had. How that all worked together, there was a lot of variation. And so even on those that believed in the Messiah, there were different views of what the Messiah would do, and yet none of them thought he would suffer and die. That was the common thing. But some thought that he was going to be a priest and purify the temple. Some thought he was going to be a warrior, like the Zealots would have had. So there was a mixture of views. So there were some common themes, and then there's a lot of variation within those themes.
So do you think it would be fair to say that there was maybe one or two kind of big questions in that period? You mentioned independence earlier.
Yeah.
Being a kind of key thing in the intertestamental period. So could it be that there was a sort of key question of how are we to be the people of God, pure and independent, holy as we're meant to be? And then you had these four separate answers to that same question.
Well, that's a better answer. I agree. That's a very, very good way of encapsulating them. None of them were really settled with being under Roman power, although the Sadducees were sort of, if something's going to happen, God's going to have to do it. We're not, we'll make the best of a bad job. Others of them were trying in their own way, in a sense, to cooperate with what they thought God would do, either by keeping the law or overthrowing or withdrawing. They were all different responses.